Howdy folks, Nathan Adlin here with the Fast Lane Car, and look what we have for you today. It's a 2015 Alfa Romeo 4C. We're in San Francisco and we're going to be driving this thing on a racetrack. We're going to be driving it on the roads, and we've had a chance to see deep down inside of it. This is an all-new vehicle, but more importantly, it represents the return of Alfa Romeo to the United States. I have been struggling all day trying to figure out what this car is, because every video, nearly everything that I've seen written compares it to the Porsche Cayman, and in some cases to various Lotuses, and I don't agree with that. And I'll tell you why. Because I finally figured out what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, the four-cylinder Ferrari. That is exactly what this is. Look, it has a carbon fiber tub that's the same thing that's in a McLaren P1. The components on this vehicle are just as high-tech and just as capable as they are on Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches, and what have you. And the overall driving feel is just like a super high-end exotic vehicle. In fact, it feels like a mini hypercar. That's what it feels like. Now, granted, around a track, the Porsche Cayman and some of the other vehicles, they can keep up and in some cases even pass this car, I'm sure. But the overall feel of the car, the way it makes you feel, it makes me feel like I'm driving a Ferrari. And I'm sorry, but for between $53,000 and $75,000, that's a bargain. This baby puts out 237 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. It's a turbocharged engine that is 1,750 cc's. Forget liters. It's hooked up to a 6-speed dual clutch transmission. Now, I asked about a manual possibility, and the guy looked right at me and said, no. So, sorry guys. I think part of the reason actually has to do with the engineering of it and the way the tub is designed. Now, granted, this is a sports car-like engine. It is turbocharged and direct injected, but you still get, now I'm going to read this to you, okay? Here's the paper here that we use as our crib note, and you're not going to believe this. 24 miles per gallon city, 34 miles per gallon highway, for a combined 28 miles per gallon. This is a sports car. That's pretty good. Okay. Once you relax, find an angle that won't make you sick.
I'm fine.
Oh, you're fine now?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, normally, guys, we want to keep the windows closed so you can hear what I'm saying and blah, blah, blah. But one of the things about this car that makes it so special is the way it sounds. And you have to understand that only about 18 inches behind my head, maybe 20 inches behind my head, is one of the intakes. And there's an intake on both sides, right? You're able to hear blow-offs, snarling, growling. See if you can hear this. Okay. Wait for it. Ah! Sounds like a four-cylinder symphony, and it's deep too. It's really deep for an engine that's under 2 liters. Base price for the 2015 Alfa Romeo 4C is around $53,000. In America, the first cars that are coming are the launch edition, and they total out at over $60,000. Now, this particular version, with all the goodies that it has, is $63,000. And if you get everything fully optioned out, we've seen prices around $65,000, $66,000. I'm sure there's other ways that you can blow your money and get it into the $70,000 range. But think about it this way. That's still around the price of a Corvette. That's not such a bad thing. Now, by the way, if you're wondering about the overall size of this car, yes, there is something different between this and the European version, and that is weight. And that car weighs 340 pounds less than this car. And the main reasons why are, well, safety equipment for one thing, and the stereo, air conditioning, stuff like that actually really does add on the weight. If you want that stuff in Europe, you're gonna have to put it on yourself, I guess. fucking God, that sounds like heaven. Oh, yes. Ah, love it. This really is a great car. How can you drive a 4-cylinder supercar and not feel like it's amazing? But there are a couple things that you have to keep in mind if you're going to get a car like this. For one thing, the ride can be really hard, especially on hard pavement, you know, potholes. Every time we had a pothole, we screamed like little girls, and not in a good way. Cup holders, well, there are two, and they're not very big, and they're right at your elbow. The air conditioning for an Italian car works remarkably well. We've already played with it. Stereo, well, we haven't played with it because we have that sound in the back. We don't really care about the music, but you can get navigation, but you have to feed it using your cell phone. There is no glove compartment. There is no center console. There are no door pockets. As far as I know, there is no place other than your visor to store anything. So you really have to be very frugal with what you bring into this car and who you bring into this car. So check this out. Little ledge right here. That's where you need to put your head when you open this in order to put your groceries in there. Now there is a prop for the hood and boot, and you plug that in right here in the center. But when you have your hands with groceries and you're opening this up, well, I'm sure you get that. Now check this out, come here. I'm gonna show you something. Now, only the back opens. The front does not open. That's where your radiator goes and your legs. The only way you can open this baby is with this right here, that release. And the only way you can get to that release is if the door is open. So there's a couple things to keep in mind in terms of using this. It's Italian. It's just different. It's still cool. I would really rather have a button that I could push inside anytime I want to in case somebody wants to put something in there instead of having to open the door every time I want to open the trunk. But that's the way it goes. Passenger seat has adjustment, which is different than the European version. So that allows the passenger to be relatively comfortable. And I sat as a passenger as Andre beat me up on back roads just like these. And it was relatively comfortable for a tall person, but the footwell is very narrow in there. Now for the driver, I have more usable space driving this car than I did driving the Dodge Viper. I kid you not. I have more usable space in this car than I had in almost any sports car other than maybe the Porsche Cayman. But there's a difference. If you look over your shoulder, you can actually see something kind of sort of if you look directly back using the rearview mirror. But there are blind spots when you look over your shoulders. So if you have oncoming traffic coming in those directions, it's difficult. And backing is a bear. You know that thing where you open the door of a Lamborghini in order to back out of something? Yeah, you probably would have to do that here too, because you do have rear sensors, but what doesn't make any sense to me is why don't they have an integrated rear camera somewhere in this car? This ledge, it's pretty wide here, but over here, my foot is like nearly 13 inches long. Yep. And then in order to get out, I'm glad I'm not wearing my mini skirt. Ugh. There's no way to do this for a big guy that looks cool. I'm sorry. Wow. Once you're in it, it's fine. Getting in, you kind of slam your head here, but it's easy to position your butt. Getting out sucks. Ready, folks? Yes! So I wanted to show you guys how you get this car going. So you start the engine, okay? And R is obviously for reverse. It starts in neutral, so you always have to have the parking brake on. And then when you want to start driving, you hit 1. You don't touch this, you hit 1. And 1 will put you into auto mode, okay? This will put you in a manual mode. So you play with this as you're driving. So let me demonstrate it, okay? Nice little thing over there. Okay. And then with my foot on the brake, push 1. And you see up there it says auto 1. And then I'm going to put it in neutral. Okay, so that's basically how you have to park. And if you want to go in reverse, there you go. And it has a little sonic thing for the back. I really wish it had an integrated rear camera. That would be like friggin' awesome, because it's hard to see out of the back, but at least that's something. I hope you enjoyed this first drive real world review, because I sure as hell did. My God, what a great car. I'm sorry, but this is one of the best cars I've driven that has a 4-cylinder engine. That's how good it is. For the Fast Lane Car, this is Nathan Adlin saying, don't forget to go to tflcar.com for news, views, and reviews. And I'm about to go and be a little naughty. Catch you later.